Okay, so today I have the real pleasure of inviting Matt Anthony. Hello, Matt.
Yes. Hello. Thank you very much for having me. Viv. Very nice to be here. I'm very happy to speak with you. And what I think you're doing is great in terms of the mental health awareness. So thank you very much for having me on your show.
Oh, and thank you as well for coming, and thank you for your amazing work. Matt, I always ask my guests, who are you?
Yeah. Who am I? Yeah. Great question. Loaded question. I'll try and condense it as much as possible. I guess I would say from a human level, I am someone who is very empathetic, understanding, someone who likes to see the good, delusionally optimistic in everything that I do. It's very hard for me to see things kind of in like a negative or like a realistic approach. I tend to live my life as very optimistic and sometimes opportunistic in some aspects. And that's one of the core values that I have to myself, as being empathetic and understanding for people. Who I am in terms of what I do, I am a creative entrepreneur. I run a marketing company and management company called Invittco Inc. And we specialize in social media marketing, event management, and we manage a couple of different celebrities that you may have seen on your favorite Netflix shows, specifically Love is Blind. And I help create different creative campaigns to drive businesses more revenue. So that's what I do in a day-to-day, and that's who I am on a human level. Who are you, Viv? I guess that's the question. Who are you?
Well, I'm also an entrepreneur, and I have been there my entire life. I'm actually coming up to 30 years. I've been
Wow,
running my business
congratulations.
in different countries, and within the food industry. I've always been passionate about health and well-being, and yeah, and here I am now
I
on a
love it.
new
I love it. That's great.
journey. Yeah. All
Yes,
right, Matt,
that's great.
what's how did you become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, no, great question. I guess it kind of like naturally progressed over time. I'm a drummer too. I'm also a semi-professional magician, as well.
Wow.
So the entertainment bug is definitely something that's instilled into my heart. But how it kind of happened was I was touring in different musical projects here in Canada, Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. And I was touring different parts of the country, different parts in the US. I did some stuff over in Europe. I actually recorded over in Abbey Road Studios, one of the youngest independent Canadians to ever record in the same room as the Beatles. Amazing. That's a story for another time.
Wow.
But what had happened was I was doing that from the ages, I took it really seriously when I was 16 to 19, like really full-fledged, like dove 100% into it. And being in a band, or being in the music industry, so to speak, it's a very mentally taxing type of industry. You have to have a lot of thick skin. You have to hear the word no more than you hear the word yes. You have to consistently adapt. You have to consistently pivot. And from there, not knowing, I guess, where the next tour, the next opportunity was going to come to be, I kind of had to create the business almost out of necessity. Whereas I wanted to build something that I knew that I could operate it no matter where I was. Very fortunate to work with a lot of well-known Canadian talent who was touring arenas, working in the industry at that age. And when all that kind of comes to you kind of all at once, and we had different levels of success. Like, we didn't have international fame or like super nationwide fame, but we had great industry relationships, and that's something that I wanted to kind of see through. And I was always that person, and I still am that person, now that I'm more focused on the business, that always worked with the manager, worked with the agent, negotiated the contracts, hosted the events, negotiated pricing, literally worked on every single like little detail. And I think that, I don't know, maybe being a drummer, you get to see everything in a whole different light. You get to see what the singer, the bass player, the guitarist, the keyboard player, whatever is doing. You're kind of looking at everything from like a different view. And I think I kind of adapted that mentality naturally just from being in a band. And then fast forward a couple years later, I did go to university. I don't know how I graduated, keep in mind, because I was still playing. I was playing in a signed band at the time, working three different jobs, like really like living that starving artist kind of like life, to like bank on the dream that we're going to make it. And after that kind of happened, I was still playing in bands, and we didn't really break through that major mainstream level of success, but I still had all these amazing relationships. I got asked to get a job. I got asked for a job to work at this very prominent hotel company here in Niagara Falls. And then after the hotel company, I started to see success in managing like their social media for some properties, putting on different events, bringing more business over there. And then some other people within the Niagara community noticed that I was doing that, and they said, "Hey, would you be interested in doing this for my business?" And then from there, naturally, Matt Anthony, the entrepreneur, was kind of born out of that. And I've been doing that. I did 8 months of freelance afterwards. After the hotel company and we had a great conversation in terms of, if I were to start my own business, would you be interested in becoming a client for my company? And then that's how that relationship happened. So they were very supportive. And then afterwards, did 8 months of freelance work, and then finally registered as a business. And here we are, an entrepreneur 5 years later.
Wow, that sounds incredible. And I was quite astonished. You said being a drummer actually puts you in the bird eye perspective, and that helped you.
Yeah, it was. It's something that's very. I don't know. Like growing up, it's just like because without the drummer, like there's a saying in the music space, is like you're only as good as your drummer. And also you're also the most irrelevant person in the band as well. Like you really only see the lead singer really at the end of the day. They are the voice, they are the melodic, like symphonic thing that you hear and you recognize and you resonate with. So as a drummer or as a guitar player or whatever, you have to bring a different element to the band in order to be super relevant when it comes to that. And I feel like one of my skill sets was being more so on the business side of it. And that's what kind of like really excelled me, where I could still provide an immense amount of value as opposed to being the voice of the project. I was the voice of the project, but I was a part of the voice of the project, but in a business sense, if that makes any sense.
Like juggling lots of balls in the air, obviously. And
yeah, absolutely.
How did you manage? The stress levels must have been quite high, I would imagine.
Yeah, for sure. Like when you're in a band with so many people, like I really believe it's like a marriage. Like you really all have to want the same things at the end of the day. You need to have the same goals. You need to have the same work ethic, and you need to have the same understanding. And if one piece of that puzzle is not on the same page, you're screwed. You're not going to make it. That's a dead weight, and you have to cut it off immediately. Because think about it, if everything's all aligned and you're all operating at 100%, it's going to go like this and it's going to explode. But if you have an anchor weighing you down that's not on the same page, it's going to be harder for you to propel at a faster way. So that was always been like the biggest thing, is like being in a band was not even more so like doing the music or creating that. It was more so developing and communicating with your bandmates, and the communication and how you felt and how you understood each other's situation, and what could you do when you all come together that brings out the best, create original music that people are going to resonate with.
That creates, the most people that you have in your surroundings are very authentic and honest, because everything is obviously energy, and you have frequencies, you're vibrating on different frequencies, and how
absolutely.
How would you deal with if someone weren't on the same frequency, as you said, like the anchor?
That's a great question. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. The lead singer of of one of the bands that I was playing with, we were super close. We were super close. We've had the most up and down relationship ever in my entire life. We went from being bandmates to best friends to sworn enemies to almost suing each other to axing each other out of our entire lives, like calling each other like the worst things possible imaginable. Now we're friends, and now we're business partners. And a new aspect that's on more so on the business side of music, where we're not in a band together at the same time. We're doing something in an event space and the event side of the music industry, which is very, very good. I would say that the biggest thing that I learned with that is knowing how you talk to people when there's a difficult situation is the most important thing you could have or you could do, because if there's a difficult situation and you know that you're upset, you might react or say something that's based on your emotion, as opposed to having an empathetic and understanding viewpoint of what they're thinking. So you kind of need to meet them halfway in the middle, and you need to take your ego out of the side and say, hey, you know what? This is what's been on my mind. I would love for us to kind of talk about this, and so we can come up with some sort of proactive solution. It really all comes down to how you talk with the people. I truly believe that.
Yeah, but that demands a very high level of self-awareness as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you done a lot of inner work in your
I
life?
have, yes. I have, yes. I have done a lot of inner work, a lot of, I used to journal every single day. I don't do it anymore. When I wrap up like my gym workout, which I did fall off the bandwagon the last 4 days, but now I'm back on it. I would go into the sauna at the end of it. I have no phone. My phone's not ringing. No text. No beeps. I have 2 cell phones that I and plus my computer to run my company. And I go in there and I set my intention for the day of just being super mindful of and putting out the energy frequency to the universe of saying, what do I want to what do I want to accomplish? It's like, and I speak in the terms of like I am, realizing that I'm affirming myself that I already have this, and time is just a byproduct that doesn't exist and it hasn't caught up to me yet for what I want. So I feel like setting my intention for the day, or setting my intention for what I want to happen or what I want to manifest with the law of attraction with the universe, that's something that I've started to implement a lot more into my life over the past year. But before that, it was journaling, a lot of self-awareness, lots of digesting a lot of entrepreneurial content from people like Gary Vaynerchuk, Alex Hormozi, or even psychologists like Jordan Peterson, like really taking all these different bits and pieces of information and applying it to my own life, and realizing like, I am just simply a byproduct of the information that I'm choosing to digest that resonates with me. I know that was a little bit of a rant there, but yeah,
No,
that's
it's
what I've been
beautiful.
doing in terms of my
Thank you.
self-reflection. Thank you.
Thank you for openly sharing that. So that means you're connecting to higher self, right?
Yes, correct. Yes, absolutely. I feel very much more connected now with my intuition, my higher self now than ever before. I also just finished completing 33 days of complete sobriety, like nothing in the system besides water and coffee, and obviously eating and like normally, but just to cleanse the palate of the body to keep everything good. And I'm still selective and in terms of how I want to, partake in different things or whatever. Not any hard drugs at all by any means, but going out to parties or social events or gatherings, I'm just being a lot more mindful with my intention of, how is my energy spent? Because I realize now at this point in time of my entrepreneurial career, it's like, how do I want to get to the point where we're generating multi 7 figures, or we're doing high end multiple 6 figures? Like, I feel like I'm entering like a different level of a game almost of them, which is this game of life of like, how do we propel ourselves to the best way? And one of the quotes that really stuck with me is this quote by Joel Kaplan, who runs a very successful agency called Agency Lab, and I'm a member of the community. And he said, like, if you want to be a multi 6-figure human, you need to level up as a multi 6-figure human. You yourself internally, what are your habits? What are you doing for yourself? Like, it's about being super mindful of treating your mind and your body and your soul all at your optimal human form in order to produce the possible business and to service others. And that's where I feel like a lot of things in society are very backwards, where it's like, if you're the boss or the boss or the entrepreneur, so to speak, people think that like, your employees your employees are appreciative to work for you and do that. And it's like, whereas I look at it the complete opposite way. It's like, these team members have chosen to put their faith and investment in me, that I am going to get us there to that next level of our business journey. In order for me to do that, I have a social responsibility to make sure that this mentally, internally, and physically is at optimal form in order to produce the best results.
And I totally agree with you. You were saying give service to others. What is your mission
Yeah. And you know what? That's a good question. I have
For
my
now,
mission
I
is
should
kind
say.
of yeah, no, my mission for right now, because I look in my life in terms of chapters of like 5 to 10 years. And my mission, my mantra that has always been like my thing, no matter what, is to leave a positive impact on everything that you do. Because people don't remember what you did for them, people remember how you made them feel, you
Mm.
know. So that's my biggest thing, is to leave a positive impact in everything that you do. So
So you've done an amazing job. You have conquered a lot of fear, and you turn more into the love vibration, the high frequencies, and now you're starting to attract beautiful things into your life because you've done the inner work. And as I used
yeah,
always say, from within goes without. So if you have an inner conflict, your outer world will probably be quite chaotic as
chaotic,
well.
yes, absolutely. And touching base on that too, it's like, I've realized too, setting intentional time with when you're meeting people, because I feel, and Jay Shetty talked about this as well, when it was just like, when people pay, or when people are trying to have a meeting with you, they're meeting with you because of what you offer and what you want to do, but people are meeting with you because of how you make them feel. And that mean, like, they're paying for your energy. Your energy is currency. And if your energy is at a low currency, like he says, talking about, you'd rather give someone the best 15 minutes of your purest energetic self, where you're operating at optimal form, rather than give them 40 minutes of lackluster, half, not really paying attention, kind of there, because you're not operating at your peak level, so that's something that I've been very mindful to when it comes to meeting with people, and putting time frames on things like that, to make sure that I'm giving the best with whatever it is that I do.
Yeah, and that comes down to filling up your own cup as well. So you have the extra
Yes.
energy, and that goes back to self-love again. I think everything starts with
Yeah,
self-love. Every
absolutely.
single podcast I do is always back to self-love.
I
How do
agree.
you, what is self-love for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. Self-love for me is uh definitely working on myself. I would say more so in like the physical sense. I've done a lot of soul searching in the mental side, and I believe that your mental health is just as important, if not more important, than your physical health. But the one that's where I'm currently at in my life is adapting more so, where I'm focusing a lot more on my physical side of the body and my health and everything like that, because I feel like if that's operating at it, and being super mindful of my habits and what I am consuming and what I am intaking. So that's my form of self love. I also believe that, I really true do love myself, and I love myself, and I acknowledge that I am a work in progress, and that I am not perfect, and that I don't know anything, and I will ask the questions when I don't know the answers, and I will do my best to be extremely mindful to not let my ego get in the way of any sort of situation, whether it's big or small. Um, so that's what I think what self-love is for me. And I truly do love myself. And I also believe that why I've been in the healthiest partner relationship with my girlfriend for the last 3 years is because we both have focused on finding ourselves and who we are as people and what we love. And then if you're fully confident and you're self-aware in yourself, then you can fully give that to another person. Whereas if I feel like you can't, if you're not at that point with that, can you really give your best to another person?
Mm.
So that's been really, really good. I think practicing self-love and everything for yourself is going to produce the best optimal results for everything else around you.
So you have also healed a lot of generational and ancestral traumas as well, because you and your girlfriend working on becoming whole as a person, rather than, half makes whole, a whole piece,
Hmm.
two wholes come
For
together.
sure.
Um,
Yeah.
have you noticed with your awakening and your healing journey that things, situations, people has sort of faded away naturally?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And it's so funny you asked that question, because I recently went through that over the past few weeks with some different partners that I've done a lot of work with closely over the years, and um, it's no there's no animosity, there's nothing there. It's just like, for this time, in this time of life that I'm currently on right now in my operating human level, that's just not meant to be right now. And that's okay, because they have a way of doing things and I have a way of doing things, but there's no bad blood when it comes to that. I think that as I've kind of grown and worked on a lot of the mental awareness, is my perspective has really changed a lot in terms of knowing what really matters and what could maybe pass. Like, the quote that of like, this too shall pass, of, it's so true in a lot of sense. Or being super mindful of the friends in your closest circle around you too as well. And I'm very mindful in terms of who I share good news with. Great success, hey, we did a great month this month in terms of revenue. I want someone who's there, who's going to support me 1,000%, who's fired up, who gets it, who wants that, as opposed to someone, if I share that information with someone, they're going to be jealous or resentful or anything like that, and wants to see that like dwindle down on me. I don't want that energy around. And I feel like that's something that I've been super mindful of who I share good news with and who I share bad news with too.
And has your circle of friends shrunk a lot?
I wouldn't say it's shrunk. I would say it's changed, in the sense of how, and this is something, I don't know if I've heard this before, but I've repositioned my commitment of what I want to allow myself to be accessible to them.
Brilliant.
I've just repositioned my commitment. Mm-hmm. That is it. It's not, I don't know if I'm not going to swear. It's not going to be like, hey, goodbye, I hate that, and having that negative energy. It's just like, I'm repositioning this for myself, and I have no qualms or whatever, but I feel like that's just something that I just can't deal with right now in this timeline. Doesn't mean I don't love you. It doesn't mean like, hey, maybe sometime later on down the road, things are changing and your energy's different and my energy's different and we can realign of some sort of ways. But as of right now, that's just not in the realm of things, and that's okay. I've come to the realization that that's okay. And I'm just a little bit more selective and mindful as to where I spend my time and what my commitment is with that time with said people.
And where do you think entrepreneurship is going to be in, let's say, 10 years from now, in terms of values, rather than like 10 years ago?
You know what? That's such a great question. I feel like right now more people than ever are starting to do like their own businesses. And I feel like COVID really put something like that into perspective with people. It's like, do you really want to go to the office every day? Do you want to prioritize more time with your family? With the power of the internet, can you make your own, company or your own side hustle or another income source? Because I feel like what we're all chasing at the end of the day is just pure bliss and happiness, pure bliss and happiness. And it's a journey. It's not a destination. It's not like you're going to finally get something like, oh my God, now I'm happy with my life. It's about enjoying the process with it. And I feel like with entrepreneurship, it's definitely going to be something I think that's on the forefront of it in 10 years. I think that entrepreneurs who leverage artificial intelligence are definitely going to be at the head start of it right now. I feel like these next 2 to 5 years are going to be extremely instrumental, and we're going to see more self-made millionaires than ever before in human history. I really believe that, because we've never had the access to this type of technology that it does, and technology literally affects every single aspect of everyday life, not even just with entrepreneurship, but it allows you to create a faster output, so you can just do a lot more, and you can do a lot more by delegating it more with the leveraging help of artificial intelligence. I really believe that. And I think that it's just a matter of time before what the development side of that looks like, to see how companies are really going to be functioning in the next 10 years. It's going to be really interesting to see. That I know for sure.
Yeah, and I think a lot of science today and research that's been done in 10, 20 years, they won't be applicable anymore. We will have a totally different lifestyle.
Exactly.
Eat different kinds
lifestyle,
of foods.
the school, the foods, the school curriculum, what you're taught, different things in that aspect. But, especially for me in the marketing side of things, and the event side and working with different celebrities, it's like, these AI tools can be so useful to just speed up and save you time. Like I think it was Alex Hormozy who said, like, if you want to like really build something crazy, or you find something that has an issue, and if you can do it in half the time, you're immensely valuable to think. Anything that saves people time or money, it's the next wave of things. So, and I feel like with AI, with entrepreneurs who really learn to adapt that, those are the ones who are just going to get a little bit of a head start over the next 2 to 5 years.
And I would love to see more women as well, and younger women.
Yes.
Entering into entrepreneurship, entering and bringing more equality,
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great, and it's something that definitely should be at the forefront of the of just accept, like of society with that. I'm 100% all in support of that.
Well, we do need yin and yang energies. We both have female and male energy within us, and if it's totally dominated to one side, you get totally unbalanced. And I think in the world space as well, we need a balance.
Absolutely, I agree.
Now, Matt, what is the biggest fear you have had in your life or have?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say the fear is looking back on my life and realize, wow, you didn't do the things you said you were going to do. Or it's like, you know what, you prioritize different things over something that you've always wanted to do. And Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this a lot. It's just like, he's like, every 20-year-old should go to a retirement home and just talk to the like older population of the 70 80s-year-old and ask them questions. Do you miss or not regret not doing anything? And when you feel and experience that sadness of saying, I wish I did this, but I did this, or I wish I did this, or I wish I did that, or I wish I reconnected with this person sooner, it's like, man, like life in the grand scheme of things, I think is pretty short. Like, do the shit that you want to do, and have that conversation or do that thing. At least you can say you did that thing. I failed. At least you can say you did it. So that's my biggest thing, is just looking back on my life and realizing, like, hey, did I really give it all that I said I was going to do? And am I happy with my output that I did? And did I affect and impact people in a positive environment? I did another podcast and I said I genuinely care more about the relationships that I have than the money in my bank account. And I still believe that, in a sense that the more people and the more relationships that you can develop, the more opportunities and the more things that are naturally going to come your way. Because if you mean what you say and you do what you say you're going to do, things are just going to naturally kind of come to you, as long as you deliver.
Spot on. Amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I feel like I just don't want to have any regrets in my life, or settling down. And sometimes not doing the right thing is always the easiest thing too, right? It's like you got to be able to just roll with the punches and realize that, like, yeah, the shit is really hard. Like, it's like life. I can understand why some people like don't want to go to work and wake up every day, because it's really tough for them. They feel so mentally drained and defeated, and that there's no resources, and it's the lack of the motivation for them that allows them to see what's possible on the other side. They just see someone like, someone like yourself or whoever who has this, a mass amount of success, and they're just like, well, I can't do that. They already beat me. Things already like done. Like, there's no point in me even trying. And it's that mentality as to why you won't succeed, is because you are already programming that into yourself, as opposed to opening up your mind and saying, hey, I can do this. I just got to take it one step at a time. And it's so funny that I just bring that up, because the band that I work with out in Los Angeles, the singer called me and I said, I have news for you. I'm like, we haven't talked in a little bit. I have news for you. And then they're like, I have news for you too. It's like, okay, who do you want to go first? And then they go, I think I should go first. And so she begins to tell me what's going on. And she begins to tell me that she is now opened up and is a transgender woman, and starts telling me all about the different things in her life from transitioning from when I met her when she was a boy, Steven, to now being a woman, Sarah, and just hearing her story and her impact of what she wants to do just really opened up a lot of perspective in my eyes, because I've never had someone super, super close to me like that, that I've known over the years, go through something like that transition before. And it was beautiful in the sense that I was able to hear in the most vulnerable way and the most explicit way as to why they chose this. And I thought it was absolutely beautiful and inspiring. And after that conversation happened, I wrote down impulsively on my white wall here in my office was "one day at a time," and underneath that I wrote "your story matters." And that's what I really believe, that each of us have that. There's one day, just take it one day at a time, and that story matters. Exactly, you know what I mean? There's a stigma with that, but I feel like it's like naturally as things progress over time, then it's like it gets more open, There's less judgment, there's less preconceived, because it's just more widely talked about. It's more accessible with things like the internet, technology, etc. And the same thing when it comes to like different, like legalizations. Like cannabis is legal here in Canada, but 20, 30 years ago, it was like taboo, don't touch it. So it's just interesting to see the development of things and what's acceptable in society, where something was considered taboo, but now it's like the norm, and it's a money revenue generator, and it's like, it's very interesting to see. So that's why I feel like we're living through, in my generation, that my generation of a millennial, because I'm quote unquote still a millennial, 94. And what I believe and what I've seen, and I've done the studies, is like millennials are the last generation, or the only generation in human history to grow up with every single phase of technology. Every single phase. We were there for when you had like your desktop, like kind of like Macintosh computer, CDs, where you would get CDs for video games in the cereal box. You'd have Walkmans, like where you would put CD discs in there to listen to music. Then you would have an MP4, and then you would have an iPod, and then you would have an iPod Nano, and then you would have a full-fledged iPod, and then you would have like a flip phone that you could call for emergencies. And then the flip phone became a slide phone, and then the slide phone became touchscreen. And it's like, and then apps were created, then social media was created, and then now AI. It's like we've literally have experienced and grown up with all the different facets of technology. So I find that incredibly, I'm very thankful to have experienced all this stuff, because now I feel like I can have an understanding as to what it could be applicable for the betterment of business, self, etc.
Oh, it's amazing. I never actually thought about it that way before, but you're right. You're totally right, because you are used to social media. That's a natural part of your life. It's not frightening for you. It's just like common everyday life. And then obviously you are young. You're only in your 30s. You come in a
28. Yeah.
28. Yeah, even younger.
Yeah,
and
not 30 yet. I'm not 30 yet. Yeah.
All right, sorry. Take it back.
Yeah, no, I'm just
but look at how wise you are beyond your years. I mean, it's incredible. I think your generation has, I said it before, but I think you have a totally different DNA. It's so refreshing and inspiring, and you're going to make this world a so much better place than what previous generations has done.
I appreciate
and
that.
you will.
We're gonna try. Yes, and we'll try. And we'll do our best, and we'll just keep moving forward until they say no. So
with that, where do you wish we are in 10 years in the world from now?
Oh my gosh. I hope that Mr. Beast is president and he gives away all of his money and cures world hunger. Mr. Beast is a very popular YouTuber, and he just focuses on giving money away. I'm not sure if you know who he is, but I look at someone like him, and I'm just like, wow, like what a beautiful thing he's created. He's like 24, 25 years old, got offered $1 billion or $2 billion for his brand and all the assets in there. And he said that his goal is to make the world a better place before he dies. And he's someone that I really look up to, and who is also a like millennial or Gen Z or whatever. And he's just doing everything for the right reasons. So where I hopefully to see our world in 10 years is, that's a great question. I hope that we focus on loving each other more than all this hateful stuff that has been happening online. And I think COVID was really the enhancer of that, because we didn't really have anything else to do but besides being on our phones and communicate with the outside world through social media and texting, or virtual communication. I hope that the world opens up its heart to seeing that there's not, there's more ways to do things. AI is going to revolutionize the way the modern world works. Technology, I think, with NFTs is another big thing, where every major sports organization, I think, will have something on there where an NFT or a digital collectible you have will be your entrance into a game, like a sports game or something like that. I believe that the way things are governed, we're going to see a lot of drastic changes in terms of law, something that's like something that's never been done before. And I think that this really all started, again, was when the pandemic happened, because it's kind of like the Wild West, where it's like that happened and now anything goes, and it's like we're almost like not even surprised by some like crazy stuff that happens now in the world. It's almost become like some, for lack of a better term, almost like common and we're not fazed by it, so
yeah, it's like everyday life.
Yeah, exactly, right. So I just hope that in 10 years that human beings are a lot more empathetic, understanding, laws are going to change, AI is definitely going to play a big role, and I think the education system is definitely going to have an interesting wake up call, considering with all this technology advancements. That's what I think is going to hope is going to happen.
Yeah, everything is collapsing or falling down so we can rebuild, because the old systems are no longer working. They're not serving us as a humanity. We're not doing well mental health, with our health overall. So clearly what we have been doing has not been working well for us in terms of well-being.
We need to change, and we need to adapt in order to see that they're like, hey, it's not just me out here, it's everyone here, and like, what can we do that's going to help everyone, regardless of your race, gender, sex, blah blah, whatever. It's like the fact that there's still racism and all this stuff going on, it's just like, come on guys, like, let's figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, like, get over, like,
I know,
what do you mean? Like, we're like, there is starving children in Africa that have all of this stuff, and we're over here and you want to spread hate because of, oh my gosh, their skin color is different. You really need to give your life like a really big perspective shake, But then again, it's like, maybe that's how they were raised, blah, blah, whatever. But still, it's like, I'm talking from a macro standpoint. It's like, come on, you know what I mean? Like, focus on like fixing the root of the problem and get over yourself and realize that regardless of what you are, what race you are, it's like, we're all part of one race, and that's the human race. And everyone forgets that.
And well done you for being the higher person, and with that also becoming a role model for others to follow. That's your mission, I think.
I think so. Yeah, baby. I love that. And that's one thing that I've kind of been putting off a little bit to the side, because I've been really expanding and doing a lot of stuff on the business side of it, is putting more emphasis on original video content for my personal brand. I already have the system and everything in place. I just haven't been doing it. And it's no excuse that I've been focusing on the different back end stuff of the business. But I feel like now is the time to really start putting it out there a lot more, because I have a lot of things I want to say. It's just a matter of, me executing and doing the work now.
Thank you so much, Matt. The time flies.
It does. Yeah, time really does fly. Yeah, absolutely. And I can't wait to check this out. I'll definitely share this on all my platforms and stuff afterwards too. So yeah, feel free to send it to me.
Thank you so much. It was really lovely and refreshing to meet you. I'm very impressed with you, and I wish you all the very best. I'm sure we'll keep in touch.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me. I super appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Ed. Talk soon. Bye.
See you. Bye.